Hi everyone, welcome to the Rugby League History channel. Today I'll be doing my tips for round 5 of the 2023 NRL season. Last week I got 6 out of 8 correct. Let's see how many I get right this week. The first match to kick off round 5 is between the Sydney Roosters and Parramatta. This one is kicking off on Thursday night and it's being played at the new Sydney Football Stadium. This is Parramatta's first ever trip to the new Sydney Football Stadium. Previously, these two clubs have played 137 matches. Sydney Roosters have won 68, Parramatta have won 64, and there's been 5 draws. Eastern Suburbs have won 7 of the last 10 encounters against Parramatta, and some of the scorelines have been quite big. You've got 48 points to 10 back in 2017, 44-10 in 2018, and if you want to go further back, 2014 they won 56 points to 4, and then in 2013 they won 50-0. Parramatta's record at the old Sydney Football Stadium wasn't very good either. There was quite a few finals matches there that they lost and regular season matches, so hopefully for their sake they can improve that with the new Sydney Football Stadium. I watched a game last week against Penrith. I thought Parramatta were much improved in defence and I thought that they were much better in performance, but once again, that last 10-minute period, the game management were very poor. They allowed Penrith to get back into the match. It was 16 points to 8 with 7 minutes to go, and somehow Penrith managed to tie the game at 16-all, all thanks to some really silly moments from Parramatta. With Sydney Roosters as well, they're coming off the bye, they'll be fresh. They have a good recent record against Parramatta, and I think that will continue on Thursday. I think Sydney Roosters will win the game 1-12 points. I think it'll be a very good match to kick off round 5. However, with Parramatta, that last 10-minute period for me were quite concerning, how they didn't close out the game. And with Sydney Roosters coming into this game fresh, I think that they'll get the job done there on Thursday night. The first match on the Friday is between Canberra and Penrith. This one's being played at Bruce Stadium in Canberra. For some supporters, this is a big rivalry game, especially more from the Canberra side of things. Canberra are very bitter about some things that have happened in the past between Canberra and Penrith, whereas Penrith supporters don't really see it the same way. I did a video about it, you should go check it out. But going back into the game, Canberra have lost their last 4 encounters against Penrith. There's also a bit of extra spice going into this fixture because last time these two sides played, head coach Ricky Stewart of the Canberra side called one of the Penrith players, Jamin Salmon, a weak-gutted dog, which garnered a lot of media attention. Canberra come into this fixture having lost to an understrength Newcastle side in the last round. As for Penrith, as I mentioned earlier, they got very close to beating Parramatta. Golden point could have gone either way, so they can consider themselves a bit unlucky in that match. For this match, I'm going to go for Penrith to win 1-12. I think that Penrith will bounce back after the loss against Parramatta. It were quite concerning that Canberra lost to Newcastle, a team that has been decimated by injury and have a lot of players out currently, and they were turned over quite easily. So I'll go for Penrith to win 1-12 there on the Friday night in Canberra. And the main match on the Friday is between South Sydney and Melbourne. This one is being played at Stadium Australia. With South and Melbourne, Melbourne have won 8 of the last 10 fixtures against South Sydney, and overall South Sydney have only beaten Melbourne 6 times since 1998. South Sydney had a golden point victory last round over Manly in a highly charged match where there was a lot of emotion behind the scene with the passing of John Sattler. As for Melbourne, they managed to get the job done over West Tigers down there in Melbourne. This is a really hard game to call because both sides have been a little bit indifferent to start the year. However, because it's in Sydney, I'm going to go for a bit of a risk and I'm going to go for South to win this match 1-12. If it were in Melbourne, I 100% would have tipped Melbourne, but I'll go for South Sydney to win 1-12 there on the Friday. And the first match on the Super Saturday is between Manly and Newcastle. This one's being played at the Glen Willow Oval in Mudgee. With this fixture as well, there's a few people out there that consider Manly and Newcastle to be a rival. Behave yourselves. They played in one grand final 25 years ago. Manly coming into this fixture having lost narrowly to South Sydney and Golden Point extra time. I think that Manly were quite unlucky in this game. And with Newcastle, they got an upset victory over Canberra. They played very well, and with all the players that they've got out, this is that were a massive win for Newcastle. For this game, even though it's in neutral territory out at Mudgee, I think that Manly will bounce back after the disappointment against South Sydney last week. I think that Manly will win this match 13 plus over Newcastle. I think that Manly will just have too much in attack and will run over the top of Newcastle there in Mudgee. And the second match on Super Saturday is between St George and Redcliffe, or as you want to call them, the Dolphins, from Wynn Stadium in Wollongong. Redcliffe's 100% record to start the NRL ended last Friday against Brisbane in a very good match there at Suncorp Stadium. Redcliffe actually took the lead but were pegged back against Brisbane in the end. With St George, the last 2 weeks, they've been in both games, but however, those second half showings and especially towards the end of the games, they've just conceded a lot of tries, and it's once a team gets 1 or 2 tries against them, it seems that the floodgates just open and St George surrender. And we've seen that in the last 2 weeks against Brisbane and Cronulla. For this match, I'll go for Redcliffe to get back to winning ways. I'll go for them to win 13 plus there at Wynn Stadium on the Saturday. And the main match on Super Saturday is between Brisbane and West Tigers. This one's being played at Suncorp Stadium. Brisbane are the only club left in the NRL this year that have yet to taste defeat, and with the West Tigers, they're yet to taste a win going into 2023. They've lost all 4 of their games. The last time that these two sides met were on the 30th of July 2022. This game were at Suncorp Stadium, and West Tigers won 32 points to 18, and West Tigers have actually won the last 4 fixtures against Brisbane in the NRL. However, overall, West Tigers have only beaten Brisbane 9 times since 2000, and I think that will continue on the Saturday there. I think Brisbane will win this match 13 plus. I don't really hold out too much hope for West Tigers. It's going to take a miracle. They might win, but I'm going to go for Brisbane to win 13 plus there on the Saturday. And the first match on the Sunday is between Cronulla and New Zealand. This one's being played at Shark Park. Cronulla have won 8 of the last 10 fixtures against New Zealand. New Zealand's last victory in Cronulla were in round 9 of the 2015 NRL season, where they beat Cronulla 20 points to 16. Last time out, Cronulla won their fixture against St George in the derby. I thought that they were very impressive in that game, especially the second half. As for New Zealand, they were good against Canterbury. It was a very close game, very narrow, but they got the job done. And I think it's very important for the club to win as many games as they can over there in New Zealand if they're any chance of making the finals. For this match, I'll go for Cronulla to win 1-12. If this were in New Zealand, I might have leant the other way. But because it's in Cronulla, and because with Cronulla's record over the New Zealand, I'm going to have to go for Cronulla to win the game. And the final game to close out round 5 is between Canterbury-Bankstown and North Queensland. This one is being played at Stadium Australia. The head-to-head between these two sides, in recent times, North Queensland hold the advantage. They've won 7 of the last 10 encounters against Canterbury in the NRL. With North Queensland as well, Stadium Australia isn't exactly a place that they fear going. In the last 10 times that they've been there, whether it would be against South, Canterbury or another opponent, they've won 7 of the last 10 matches that they've had to play at Stadium Australia. This is a real hard game to call because it could go either way. Both sides have been a bit indifferent to start the year. I haven't really fully got a read on either team. But because it's in Sydney and it's at Stadium Australia, I'm leaning towards Canterbury to win this fixture. So I'm going to go for Canterbury to win 1-12. However, if it were in Townsville, I would have probably tipped North Queensland. It's one of those matches where it's early in the year and it's really hard to see how it's going to go. But I just think that's at home there at Stadium Australia, even though it isn't their technically it isn't their home stadium. I'm going to go for Canterbury to win 1-12 there on the Sunday. So that has been my tips for round 5 of the 2023 NRL season. Hope you enjoyed those tips. If you did, let me know in the comment section below and let me know who you're going for in round 5. I'd just like to say thank you to everyone that watched me most recent video. It was one of the most watched NRL tipping videos on YouTube last week, so I thank you very much for that. And stay tuned for the next video, which will be the Super League tipping video tomorrow. Alright, tatty bye for now.